Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Wrestling Laureate podcast presented to you by the GSMC Podcasting Network. Thank you for tuning in to the Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. Today we have a little bit of a review about the big Monday Night Raw. There's so much to unpack and so little time. And we also have WWE NXT on tonight. I believe it's currently airing here on the West Coast. Well, I think it already aired on the East Coast, but we'll still talk about it. And also, I have a little bit of wrestling news, like Drew McIntyre's contract, along with other WWE superstars' contracts, are gonna be ending up here. So they better sign these guys. And also, just to kind of cap it off, we have a little bit of Raquel Rodriguez information, and that. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. Well, before we get started here, so we get a number of questions on the show. So to ensure that your questions get read on air, I ask you to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Just put your question at the top of the list so we can have like a nice little conversation about wrestling, because I know y'all like wrestling like I do. You know what I mean? Or else, why else would you be here? Unless you're like a newbie, unless you're like, checking out the podcast for the first time. In that case, as a member of a wrestling family, welcome to the family. Capiche? I don't know, kind of like an Italian, like mafia family there. But anyways, so like I said, just put your question on top so I can see it. It also really helps the show. Send a positive, nice little review, a positive comment here at the GSMC Podcasting Network. We like a little bit of peace, love, and positivity. And again, the link is the GSMC podcast.net. So, all right, let's get to it. So, our first segment today, we're going to cover Monday Night Raw. There was just so much information that it was just, oh man, when I was watching it, and I kind of had my notepad right next to me, and I just kept finding myself like writing things down, like I don't know, it's to the point where maybe it was a little too much, but there was just so much to unpack. So let's just get started. The beginning of Raw, it opens up with Jimmy and Jey Uso. I touched a little bit on the last podcast that they are opponents at WrestleMania. Jey basically told his brother that his dream match is to fight against his brother. Like, of course, like whose dream match is not that? Like growing up as a kid, me and my brothers loved wrestling, and we used to wrestle on the bed and do tag team, we were DX and the Hardy Boys and stuff like that. But oh, excuse me. But I don't know. This is kind of like a dream come true for like any wrestling family that's ever entered the business or the organization of like any wrestling, honestly. AEW, WCW, NWA, WWF back in the day, ECW. Of course, it's the passion for wrestling that's inside the family that's pretty good. But I don't want, I have a lot to cover. So Jimmy was pretty adamant on telling Jey that the reason why he's had such an illustrious career was because of his big brother, which isn't true per se. They were tag team, champions. Like obviously, you rely like a lot on your tag team partner to kind of help you, kind of propel you, and you kind of have each other's backs. And on top of it, your brothers. So I think that's like the best experience a tag team could have is knowing your, partner since you're in diapers, so they're twins. So and that, but so the promo ends with Jey getting beat up by Jimmy and Solo, but then out comes Cody Rhodes to kind of help Jey with with the whole bloodline thing. And later on in the show, actually, Jey confronted Cody and tell him that, hey, dude, like I got your back. And he honestly doesn't believe that Roman Reigns is gonna be alone on Friday Night SmackDown, which I kind of agree with that fact. I don't think he's gonna come alone. Why would he come alone? Especially after all the mess, like all the talk that Cody just said about The Rock. Like, oh, it was a doozy. It was a doozy. Explicit language that I can't really say on air, but I'll try to church it up as best as possible. Just kidding. Um, but moving on, the next match was the Creed brothers in a qualifying match for the six-pack tag team ladder match challenge over at WrestleMania. You had the Creed brothers versus DIY, and this was a really good match. I really wanted to see the Creed brothers kind of come out on top, but instead, it was Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, doing what they do best. They're a great tag team. They've always had been ever since NXT, and they've kind of have like they've had a history with Damian Priest and Finn Balor, so I think that kind of adds on to that. So I'm happy that DIY won, but I like the Creed brothers, for future WWE like tag team championship contendership. Um, all right, moving on. Candice LeRae came out and she still has that unhinged, like no filter. I'm gonna be a total jerk and a total B word to these guys, and like it's to the point where her own partner, Indy Hartwell, just kind of looks at her. She's like, "Dude, like, what is up?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, whenever you go, like, hang out with friends, and there's always that one friend that's ripping on the other guy, and you're like, oh, you're laughing at first. But then, like, he just keeps doing it, and he just keeps getting personal and more personal and more personal to the point where it's like a fight breaks up and everything explodes, and everybody, like, is yelling at each other. And at the end of the night, you ended up, like, crying in each other's arms. But, I don't know, that's what kind of parties I be having. I'm sorry. No, not like that. That was back in the day. That was back in the day. Anyways, so Candice LeRae's kind of on this like little kick that where she's kind of heading toward like a heel, which is cool because obviously this babyface aspect of it isn't really working for her right now. So I don't know. Maybe a heel, she can step up into bigger and better things. Obviously, she has the talent. You've seen her in NXT. Um, it's just I don't know what's gonna happen to Indy Hartwell, but I don't know if they fight the Kabuki Warriors for the women's tag team championships. I would honestly, really, really, honestly love to see that at WrestleMania. I think that'd be pretty cool. All right, moving. Okay, now we're getting to the Cody Rhodes addresses the WWE Universe about The Rock. Oh man. So he started off calling him an a-hole. Um, he also called him a whiny little bee, and Cody came out firing, man. I was hoping for this reaction, and I kind of got it, so I'm kind of pleased with this reaction. It was so attitude era-esque. Cody, like, he has that demeanor on him that he's professional, and no matter what you say, he's gonna be a professional. He's gonna let you unravel while you just kind of create this turmoil within yourself, cursing someone's name. Kind of like, the more you get under someone's skin, the more it kind of shows, and other people kind of demonstrate it on different levels. The more aggressive someone gets, you can kind of like, I don't know if Cody's taking pride in that. Like, yeah, the great one, the people's champ. I got under his skin. I'm the one that pushed him to break out of character and start talking. But and Cody actually did mention The Rock's mom, but nowhere near the way that The Rock was talking about Cody's mom. But that was pretty crazy. He called him a crybaby, and he said he's Roman Reigns' side chick, which is that hurts a little bit. Knowing that you're below your cousin. Although I don't think The Rock thinks of himself under Roman Reigns or thinks that he has less talent, but I don't know. It's just when he said that, it was so powerful. I liked it. And also, he also said The Rock has LDS. I'm not gonna, translate that. If you know, you know. If you don't, Google it. Well, I don't, but no, he came out, throwing some heavy haymakers here, so it's gonna be a good match. Hopefully hopefully the momentum keeps coming and nothing bad happens sort of where like all this momentum, the fans are very invested in this match, and I gotta be honest, I am too. Like, I want to see these guys duke it out, like not just The Rock and Cody Rhodes, but Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. This is gonna be pretty electric. If Cody Rhodes doesn't win the title at WrestleMania, there's gonna be a riot, dude. It's gonna be a crazy, crazy riot. But I don't know. I'm kind of mixed in the middle. Like, I like Roman. I've always liked Roman ever since his Shield days, but I don't know. So the Judgment Day put a pressure on Dirty Dom to kind of go out there and kind of prove his worthiness to the group against Ricochet. And Ricochet, like he did to McDonough, he beat Dom. Obviously, like Ricochet's a lot better than the Judgment Day gives him credit for. But I love watching Ricochet. I don't know. Like I just kind of hope that wrestling they do something. The WWE does something with his character because he's really fun to watch. Honestly, um, in that and his talent is oh my god, it's so disregarded. Like I said, like watching his matches, kind of like watching like poetry in motion. Kind of like watching Jeff Hardy without the with the body abuse. Like you know what I mean? Like Ricochet, he constantly puts his body on the line just for the entertainment of the fans. And I just hope that Ricochet doesn't get brushed under the rug or signed with a different company, all because WWE couldn't come up with a good, thorough, legitimate storyline for him. That would be absolutely devastating. All right, next we have a confrontation between Sami Zayn and Chad Gable, where Chad Gable basically was pleading his case to Sami that this was his only shot at WrestleMania and both of them actually had a chance to fight Gunther. I don't know where Chad Gable comes off telling Sammy that he basically said he's not a worthy competitor, and that's a way to hurt someone's confidence 2 weeks before like the biggest match of your life. But Chad Gable, he said that to Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn was, he was hurt. He was hurt. Like you can sense the sincerity in his face, and like I don't know, just in his voice. But he went out and they did the contract signing with Gunther, and Sami Zayn was I don't know, he stuck up for himself. He did what he's the underdog. David versus Goliath. This is the whole match that the WWE is trying to kind of help, right on the precipice of either Sammy's career taking off or Gunther's career kind of like it would never go down. I think it'll be like at a stagnant, but I would want to see Gunther challenge probably Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre for the next, contenders, especially when it's at the Bash at Berlin. I think Gunther fighting for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship would be pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Or if Cody wins, and if Roman doesn't, invoke his rematch clause, maybe he can fight for the WWE Championship. Who knows? Um, so just a little side minor note that Triple H is going to be on the Pat McAfee show. That was announced. And also CM Punk is going to be there at Monday Night Raw next week. So prepare for that if you're a CM Punk guy, teach your own. Next, I kind of want to talk about how Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, these mind games and everything like that. But the thing that I kind of wanted to, kind of pinpoint is that Sammy, no, not Sammy, sorry. Seth, like, he said something that was actually pretty darn true. That Drew McIntyre, he did have his WrestleMania spotlight, and he had his WWE Championship reign, but it was during COVID. It was during when they were having just like pay-per-views at the Thunderdome where there were like little like tablets with people's faces on them and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, like I feel kind of bad for Drew because I feel like once when the pandemic happened, it was kind of like a thing for WWE creative and Vince McMahon to be like, okay, now let's take a chance on this guy and see where it goes. And as soon as the fans started crawling back into the building, as soon as procedures and protocols for COVID were diminishing because of the vaccine, um, it was never the same for Drew, and I feel kind of bad because he's good to watch. He's a good heel. He's also a good baby face. So I think I don't know. It's nice to have that kind of guy in your back pocket. Um, Alpha Academy, Tozawa noticed. I don't know why it wasn't Chad Gable noticed, but they lost to the New Day, so the New Day will join not the Creed Brothers, the DIY and Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Also, you had the Miz and the R Truth, the Awesome Truth, qualifying for a spot at the six pack ladder match at WrestleMania. So that should be, those are three teams from Raw that are gonna do pretty darn well. And I don't know if you're Damian Priest or Finn Balor, I would be pretty scared right now because I think I don't know. There's so much talent in the ring that it'd be so hard. It'd be so hard to just. retain your titles and just kind of go on being this whole unstoppable tag team thing. But hey, who knows? And lastly, we had our last women's standing match, which was pretty darn entertaining. It was 30 minutes long, which I kind of like because it seems like sometimes when they have the women's main event, they kind of like to cut it short. But no, it was 30 minutes long. It included tables, ladders, and chairs, and of course the fire extinguisher. But oh man, Nia Jax had Becky Lynch pretty much beaten, and then Becky rolled out of the ring, landing on her 2 feet. We're kind of hurdling the apron a little bit there, landing on the side of the ring, basically saving her butt. So Nia Jax is right there, guys. Nia Jax, she's as much as a women's champion competitor as Becky Lynch or Liv Morgan, or even Bianca Belair, and maybe even Jade Cargill. But I don't know. We'll see how that all works out. Becky Lynch, she won the match by leg dropping Nia Jax through the announce table. It was pretty darn entertaining. It's a good match to watch. If you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube. It's like right there. But all in all, it was a pretty good women's last standing match. All right. Well, don't go anywhere. Hope you like segment 1. For segment 2, we have a little NXT preview. So don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. Welcome back to the Wrestling Laureate podcast, presented to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Just to kind of reiterate what we talked about in segment 1, we talked about Monday Night Raw and how big it was. It was a pretty big event it was a big event for Cody. It was a big event for DIY. It was a big event for the New Day making their way back onto the main roster after winning the NXT championships. Also, it was pretty huge for Becky Lynch. And like I mentioned before, hopefully she knows what she's doing, because you have a pretty pissed off Rhea Ripley waiting for you at WrestleMania. But hey, she's the man. So hopefully she has it all figured out, in that. But first, before we move on to my next segment, I would like to just remind you guys that just post questions during the show so we can talk back and forth as wrestling fans. If you're watching wrestling right now, and if you're all alone, and you want someone by your side to talk wrestling with, I can be that guy. Like, I can be your guy. Like, not in a creepy way, of course not. But, like, I can be that wrestling guy that you just bounce off ideas and we can have, like, a nice little combo. Be kind of dope. So to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask you to use the tips and donations link at the GSMC podcast.net with your questions. Just put your questions on top of the list so that I can see it. And also, it really helps the show. Leave a positive review. Peace, love, positivity, baby, all day, every day. And again, the link is the GSMCpodcast.net. Okay, so let's talk WWE NXT. I don't know, whenever the NXT like promos come up during the Raw commercials, it's always like super cool. I don't know why. I don't know if they tried harder for NXT. But it's definitely, WWE creative definitely doing their job there. Definitely, I'm invested. All right. Just right off the bat, we have Trick Williams that came back on the last show, confronted Carmelo Hayes, and he was interrupted by Noam Dar. and a couple others, and he just laid a giant kiss on Lashes. Like that's crazy. Like I like talk about a dude with confidence right there. Like I remember my first kiss was nothing like that at all. But hey, like if you got the juice, do it, baby. But Trick Williams, I think that they're gonna have like a nice little, kind of like a nice little feud here between him and Carmelo Hayes. Both of them are very athletic. They're like that perfect mix between like they could fight for like a heavyweight championship, but they can also be like a cruiserweight where they're doing backflips off the top rope. And that, so I think that's, it's going to be amazing to watch. And I hope at Stand and Deliver, they kind of have like a nice little, like, I don't want to see just like a one-on-one singles match. And I know WWE's kind of, they're kind of known for that, but I don't, they did have that, that street match between Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano when they broke up DIY. But I don't think it's going to be that bad. I don't think it's going to be that bad. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to see where they go with that storyline. So, cross my fingers. Anyway, so Trick Williams is facing Noam Dar tonight. Make sure you tune into that. Noam Dar was, of course, like he's been with the WWE for so long, ever since they had 205 Live, like which is a show I absolutely miss. 205 Live, Cedric Alexander. You had Mustafa Ali, Drew Gulak. You had Neville. You had TJ Perkins and all these guys that were just like jumping up the top ropes and just killing it. I think even Kalisto was on 205 Live, but you don't quote me on that. But, well, I don't know. I really miss kind of like a cruiserweight division on the WWE. I've expressed it to you guys countless times over the last couple of podcasts that they should either bring back the cruiserweight belt or the light heavyweight championship. But I don't know. We'll see what WWE wants to do after Mania. Also, another match that we kind of have our eyes on is Axiom and Nathan Frazier. They're fighting in a tag team bout with a no quarter catch crew. Drew Lock, of course, rocking that crew, being like the manager, so to speak. Which he's doing a pretty darn good job. He's darn good job. He's antagonizing his opponents. He's on William Regal's like shiitake mushrooms list. Like, I think what they're doing with his character is pretty cool. And I remember, like I said, I'm going to bring back 205 Live again. I remember Drew Gulak was kind of like I think he had like this, he kind of had this saying, not a saying, but like he's the cruiserweight, where he wasn't really flashy on the top rope. He wasn't the one to like jump on the middle rope and do like a lion salt. He wasn't the one to do a suicide dive or like a lariat over the top rope onto the outside flooring. He wasn't that type of wrestler, but Drew Gulak, he's obviously if the company decided to keep him around for this long, that he has some juice, man. He has some juice. Next, we have a triple threat tag team qualifier. We have Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson versus Hank Walker and Tank Ledger. So that should be pretty interesting. I honestly haven't seen the OC compete in a long time. I don't know if this is kind of their way to, I don't want to say demote because it's not like going down to NXT's in any way, shape, or form a demotion. But I think they're just kind of bringing. I think you kind of have the New Day coming back, and then you have the OC. Like they're just kind of switching spots. You know what I mean? And they're entertaining. I like watching Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and especially after the whole AJ Styles like breakdown kind of thing, where he was kind of like kind of butting heads with Carl Anderson. I don't know. I think this is a good fit for the OC. So I would like to see them win this match. But also we have the Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez has recently she attacked the NXT Women's Champion. Damn near broke her arm. But I think it should be. I don't know. She has a lot of talent, and when she technically really didn't lose her belt. She did and she didn't, but I don't know. Roxanne Perez. She's a special talent, and I think that the WWE is going to find a way to kind of utilize her. But I don't know. She's kind of like that top heel right now. She kind of reminds me like a Sasha Banks kind of heel, like because of her God-given abilities and her like ability to trash talk and get under your skin. You kind of have to respect her. but I don't know. I see big things for Roxanne Perez. Um, she's fighting Tatum Paxley. So honest, I think that's kind of like one of those gimme matches. They kind of flex your strength and see how dominant you really are. And another match that we're gonna have is Sol Ruca versus Brynlee Reese. Sol Ruca recently has made her return to WWE NXT, and I think she's just trying to get back into swing of things because she has championship like potential. Like she could carry that WWE NXT championship to new heights. I I I watched a couple of her matches, and I really, really honestly, I like her. I like the way she kind of wrestles. I like the way that I don't know, she's good on the mic. Right now she's kind of like that baby face. So a nice little Roxanne Perez versus Sol Ruca, maybe at Stand and Deliver would be pretty dope. But I don't know. It depends what the WWE wants to do. Next we have Tony D'Angelo coming out talking about his upcoming NXT World Championship match. Um, I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna win or not because I know Dragunov. He's been the champion for a pretty long time. It's been a pretty long time, and D'Angelo. He's kind of over right now with the crowd. Like he's like he's that face that everybody likes to cheer for. He has an Italian mob like storyline that could probably last in the WWE for like ages. And I think WWE they've done that before, but I ain't gonna tell nobody. But than that. But I do honestly think that at Stand and Deliver, I think he's gonna win. I think he's gonna shock the world. That's gonna be that shock factor. So look forward to that. And lastly, we have the North American champion Oba Femi addressing the NXT locker room, which is going to be pretty awesome because like I said before, I don't think there's anybody that can kind of hang with this guy. This Nigerian, just like champion, man. Like this guy he looks dominant. He kind of looks like Big E when he came into the WWE. Like this big strapping guy that's gonna kick your butt at like any given moment. And you put a strap on him or like a title, like you want to beat that guy? Guess what? Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. And a couple of the NXT superstars that I think could like fight him. I don't know. I don't think any of them kind of have the momentum right now to kind of beat this guy. But honestly, I think him coming out to kind of address the WWE NXT universe is gonna kind of set him up for a match at Stand and Deliver. Someone's gonna come out thinking that I think it's that Briggs guy. I think it's Jensen's tag team partner that's gonna come out and like, you beat up my friend. You annihilated him. You destroyed him. You humiliated him. And now I'm going to take that title off around. I'm going to humiliate you. Kind of something like that. I can imagine, like, I don't know. That could be happening as I'm speaking right now. But I don't know. I think that, if anything, that's the kind of way they would, kind of, go after that kind of aspect on trying to find Obafemi, a championship bout at the grandest stage of them all. So. I don't know. All right. Well, don't go anywhere. So segment 3 is right around the corner, and we're gonna talk Drew McIntyre. We're gonna talk about the Scottish Warrior, and basically how he's right now in talks with WWE to kind of renew his contract, which WWE desperately needs to do. If they let go of Drew McIntyre, I don't know. I'm seriously gonna question like my fanaticship of the WWE. But hey, I mean, we'll talk about it when we come back.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, now we're back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. We recently spoke about, we had a WWE Raw review. It was a pretty darn good one. So if you haven't watched it yet, make sure you watch it. All these Raws kind of heading toward WrestleMania is going to be kind of a really big deal. Like it's like you can't miss it. We talked about NXT tonight, a nice little NXT preview, what to watch for. Um, Trick Williams, what he's a new opponent for Obafemi. And now let's move on to my man, Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, what we kind of spoke about on WWE Raw, is in this feud with Seth Rollins. And they're, of course, they're like two of the top talents in wrestling right now. And they're two talents that you can't afford to lose if you're, if you're the agent or if you're negotiating Drew McIntyre's contract. I would recommend to like pay the guy, because like we were talking about before, how Drew McIntyre could play that perfect heel, but he can also play that perfect baby face. And honestly, I feel for Drew. I really do. The WWE took a chance on him and gave him his spotlight during COVID, and that kind of says a lot, like in a good way and kind of like a bad way. A bad way being like, okay, since we're not really gonna have to worry about ticket sales, like we can kind of like experiment during this time, like put the strap on somebody that we'll see if they draw attention or marketing and stuff like that. And also in a good way that once when our economy and our society was kind of like brought to like a kind of like a standstill during the COVID pandemic, where everyone was kind of a little afraid of catching it and wondering if the vaccine was like truly the answer, which obviously it was. Modern medicine, they developed these things to kind of help you, but this isn't that kind of a podcast. But this could be like a kind of like a good kind of perspective through Drew, that they kind of put the company on his back to kind of carry them through this hard time, where because you got to think about it, you didn't have any revenue for ticket sales. You probably didn't have a lot much revenue during marketing or like sales and stuff like that, because I think a lot of the times, well, from my experience going to WWE events, a lot of the times I would stop at a gift shop, because you like the moment you walk into it. And my go-to WWE watch area is either the Honda Center in Anaheim, California, or the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Well, now it's the Crypto.com Arena, but and the moment you walk in, there's these awesome freaking shirts. And they have replica title belts. They have like the little money to bake briefcase that's like $70, but it's so cool to have. But I think they missed out like a lot on that revenue kind of thing. But I don't know. Like I said, Drew McIntyre, he held his own. He was very like, he was that man. He was that guy. But Drew McIntyre, he said, and I quote, that it's very important for him to basically be re-signed to WWE. Like, he doesn't want to go anywhere else, and none of us want to see the Scottish Warrior going anywhere else. Right now, there's a lot of talks with multiple stars within the promotion, reportedly, like reaching the end of their deals. So it's usually when this kind of stuff happens, there's always a couple of guys that get kind of like the short end of the stick and either have to sign for less money or try to find somewhere else to sign, like AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan Wrestling, and that. But I don't know. AEW recently, they've been signing like some pretty top free agents lately. They got the cash, I guess. And obviously WWE does too, and they have like a lot of star power. But it would have been pretty cool to have Will Ospreay in the WWE. But I guess before it said that he was a little too expensive. But at that. And plus, like right now, you kind of have this thing going on with Seth Rollins that, I don't know, putting the strap on Drew would kind of make more sense, because you've had this match happen multiple times between him and Seth Rollins, and I feel like something different needs to happen. And because he kind of had this feud with Damian Priest, it would be kind of interesting to see, like, and of course this is totally my prediction, but like, what if like during the match they're fighting, and because Roman loses the belt because he couldn't have outside interference with the bloodline and it's all Seth's fault, that he comes out with Solo Sikoa, and they just beat the hell out of Seth Rollins before the match. And Seth Rollins is like he's in like the medical examining room, and they're like, Seth, you can't compete. You can't compete. He's like, no, I'm a fighting champion. And he goes out there and he loses to Drew McIntyre, which kind of sucks for McIntyre because like it's like one of those things like, really, that's the only way you're going to give him a championship run again. This dude is kind of this cheap, like, it's just so cheap. Like, I don't know. Anyways, so, but that would kind of bring up a lot of storylines, especially with CM Punk eventually coming back to maybe potentially face Drew for a championship match. It'd be pretty dope. But Damian Priest would probably cash in against Drew McIntyre. It'd be kind of perfect because they kind of had their, they've had their turmoil in the past. Like most recently, like a month ago, I think they were fighting and stuff like that. But I don't know, that kind of makes sense right now. It would make no sense for WWE not to sign Drew McIntyre. So I'm not really tripping about it. I know he's going to definitely be back. And see, that's another thing we got to talk about is his feud with CM Punk. His feud with CM Punk, obviously, like you see the back of his shirt, right? And it's showing like check marks of I did this, I did that, I did this, and then it says injure CM Punk, and yeah, he really did do that, and he's pretty darn proud of it. And I think like he's kind of playing the fans' like heartstrings on that. And that CM Punk is probably going to come back as a babyface, which is crazy because like he's not really that kind of babyface kind of type, CM Punk. But I don't know. I think Drew, with the push and support, he can carry the WWE on his back, especially when Roman loses his title. And this bloodline storyline is basically going to be put capiche, no more. I think that they're gonna have to like have some new people kind of step it up, and I think Drew McIntyre would be kind of perfect for that role. Like, you know what I mean? Like God, what's gonna happen to Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso when the bloodline disappears? Like, Solo Sikoa doesn't really have that much success as a singles wrestler on the main roster, and Jimmy, if he doesn't patch things up with Jay, Jimmy's not really that singles kind of competitor. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of times where fads break up, there's always really one guy who kind of prospers, and that's going to be Roman. And the other guys kind of just fall away, and either like they don't get signed, or they go with like somebody else, or they win like a championship, like the 24/7 belt or something like that. And like I think the only kind of thing that disputes that ideology is the Shield, where once when they broke up, Roman Reigns had a good career, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, all three of them had their own like little persona. But near the end, they kind of did Dean a little weird with the moral compass thing, where he was like, I don't know, kind of like not totally crazy, but it was like to the point where it was like, dude, what's going on with this guy? But anyways, but like I said, the main plot of this segment is just that WWE should sign Drew McIntyre. Keep him on there. All right. So for our fourth segment, we have news about Raquel Rodriguez being ruled on the inactive list on WWE.com. Also, you have Lyons coming back. She's up and comer wrestler in the NXT women's division, and it'd be interesting to see what they decide to do with her, because there's a lot of talent out there. It's so crazy whenever a new talent emerges. Like me as a wrestling fan, I kind of think about the older people that's been on there a little while, and I'm like, oh my God, what are they gonna do to them? Like, I hope they don't cut them, or they don't fire them and anything like that. But anyways, I'd stick to. All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to the Wrestling Laureate podcast, presented to you by the GSMC Podcasting Network. Um, so this episode, my first segment was about Monday Night Raw review, kind of the whole tag team turmoil match, and who's gonna end up fighting Damien Priest and Finn Balor for the tag titles. It's actually shaping up to be pretty darn good. Also, you had Cody Rhodes coming out, talking a little trash to the Bloodline, setting The Rock in his place. Obviously, you can't out-mic The Rock, but I think Cody did a pretty darn good job trying to, hold his own there. So, he gets an A+ in my book. I'm not a Cody crybaby, but I would cry. I would cry if he doesn't win. But um, the second of all, we talked about NXT, a little bit of a preview about what they're going to do with the whole Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes feud. I kind of compared it to kind of like the DIY when they kind of split them apart between Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, how they kind of like just like beat the crap out of each other, man, with like these street fights where they pulled up the wrestling ring thing and he DDT'd him, or I think it was the shock DDT on the floor. It was like all wood, and it was just like I don't know. It was actually pretty gruesome to watch, but entertaining as heck. So hopefully to do something really well where you can kind of use these guys' abilities, because Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes is like the perfect match between the heavyweight and the cruiserweight. So it'd be kind of cool to see what they do with that. And thirdly, we talked about Drew McIntyre and his, getting a contract extension. Not officially yet, but I have a pretty good chance they're going to re-sign him. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. He really doesn't belong anywhere else. Just think about it. Like, he had this WWE career where he was doing the 3MB, the 3-man band with Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater. Heath Slater. And like he went away and he just kept working at it to come back to the WWE. So it makes absolutely no sense for this guy not to come back. He has to come back. He's super cool to watch, and honestly, losing him would break my heart. So, that would absolutely suck. But, moving on to our fourth segment, we have a little bit of a Raquel Rodriguez talk. So I feel really bad for Raquel Rodriguez because she's very, very talented. Especially like she was talented in NXT when she made it up to the main roster. They kind of took their time with her, like with her development and stuff like that. She never really like she would fight in those qualifying matches to become like a women's champion. She'd be like almost there, but she would never really make it. And I don't know. I would like to really see Raquel Rodriguez come back, but she's a former women's tag champ. I think she won it with Liv Morgan, and she did really, really, really good. Holding that on her back. Like I said before, she's no longer active in the WWE right now. She's taking care of it's kind of something a little more serious here. In January, she was diagnosed with mast cell activation syndrome, or MCAS. It's kind of like a condition in your immune system where the body kind of has like reactions like swelling, hives, and like a drastic drop in blood pressure, which is kind of scary, like with like heart attack and stroke and stuff like that. Of course, you would never want that to happen. But I don't know, like she's so young, she's so talented. It's like a shock factor. Like, you know what I mean? Like kind of like when Bray Wyatt passed away and you're like, what? Like what the like that's so crazy. Like how did this happen? Or like when Daniel Bryan had to retire or Edge retire because of their neck injuries. And I don't know, it just seemed kind of surreal. And like just seeing or just hearing that they might never make it back to fight again at WWE it's kind of like a bummer. But I don't hope that for Raquel. I hope Raquel, thoughts and prayers for her. I hope she comes back and has a speedy recovery, and I hope she comes back and kicks some ass. That'd be awesome. She was recently at the Elimination Chamber match, trying to fight for a spot to fight Rhea Ripley, and she whenever she's in a match, she's just so noticeable. She's just so dominant. She's just like one of those superstars that come in and the others, no matter if you're Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Bianca Belair, you kind of look at her and you're like, man, okay, like now I know who I have to try to take down first. You know what I mean? Like this girl she's the real deal, but Raquel Rodriguez is, I don't know. I hope she comes back. I really, really do. I just kind of so Raquel currently out of the WWE roster, but someone who's in the WWE roster is Nikita Lyons. Nikita Lyons, she recently returned from a torn ACL in December, but was ultimately sidelined again due to injury. And I gotta be honest, that sucks. Like, imagine coming back from something as bad as like an ACL, like, and then just being sidelined again, like forcing to watch something that you want to do, but your body can't handle it, or your body, like, you tweak something, like kind of like in the NFL, well, kind of like in any sports, like where someone gets hurt, like stars like LeBron, or like when Tom Brady got hurt, or Peyton Manning, or and then like these guys are never like you. It seems like you never really watch them, and actually, a good little example here is like kind of like Aaron Judge for the New York Yankees. Like the moment he signed that big old contract, it seemed like he just like got the injury bug now. And like I was watching baseball last season, and he was like, I think he only played like 60. Like he only played a little bit, a little less games that he played the year before, because he broke the home run single season record for the Yankees. But I don't know. And you pay tickets to kind of want to see this top talent, kind of compete. But sometimes it just doesn't happen that way. So I don't know. I guess she got surgery back in January, early January 2024, and she's hopeful to be back in the ring. She said she reportedly, in the early fall, and that's not bad. Think about it. Where are we? March 19th. So we have April, May, June, July, August. So like 5 months. 5 months isn't bad. Come back in September, right in time for like the holiday push that the WWE kind of likes to do during the holidays. You kind of have those like you have Mania, and then it kind of settles down a little bit, and then you have SummerSlam, and then it kind of settles down a little bit, and then you kind of have the holidays where they know that people are watching, like people, like families. I know it was big for my family, like during holidays, during Christmas, to kind of have that, like, that tradition to watch. Well, when I was growing up, SmackDown was on Thursday nights, and every Thursday, that's Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's automatically on a Thursday. But now you have the NFL competing for ratings on, obviously a lot of people watch, the NFL on Thanksgiving. That's probably a good reason why SmackDown switched to Friday nights, because Friday nights, you think about it, you don't really have that like big thing. You don't really have NFL on. You always have the NBA on during season. Not really NHL, baseball. You have Wednesday nights, Monday night, Sunday night baseball. Um, but during the holidays, where they have to compete with ratings for the NFL, that's kind of hard. I would, it's good that they kind of stuck to, switching to Friday there. But of course, they still have Monday Night Raw for like Monday Night Football. But I don't know. Lately, the Monday Night Football games have been doing pretty well, which is crazy because ESPN recently signed Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, and I don't know, they have very iconic voices. I like watching them. So all in all, so Nikita Lyons basically said that she's going to try to be back in early fall, but she's just going to simply just take it day by day, because you don't want to push it. You don't want to go to the gym too early. You don't want to try to train and just have something happen again where you either re-injured what you have already injured, or you start compensating for your injury. So then you baby that side, and then something bad happens and you injure something else. Like a good example would be like, I think, oh man, I think this was like 8 months ago. 8 months ago, I think I like twisted my ankle, but I was still like trying to play basketball, so I was like kind of babying my right ankle, but I was putting more pressure on my left foot. So then my left Achilles heel started hurting too, and then it was like a double whammy. I was like, oh my god, like injury sucks. Injury really sucks, because it feels like as soon as something gets better, especially when you get older, like it feels like as soon as something heals up, starts getting better, something bad always has to happen, man. Something bad. And it's kind of like a rule of thumb, and it kind of sucks, but hey, I guess that's just how life is. But all right. These last couple of minutes, I kind of just wanted to share with you guys kind of like two matches that I'm looking forward to on the WrestleMania match card. Number one, I'm looking forward to that 6-pack ladder match for the tag team titles. That's just so cool. That's kind of like when they had the Money in the Bank match, only exclusive to WrestleMania, but they made it into a pay-per-view, which is kind of, I don't know. I think they kind of did that, like, I don't want to say dirty, but like, I want to see, like, I want to see, like, WWE tag teams like fight for Money in the Bank where they can like, get the briefcase and then they have the right to challenge a opposing tag team whenever they want. I think that would be pretty cool. Um, I don't know what the Money in the Bank contract covers, the United States Championship or the Intercontinental Championship, but and I think kind of Damian Priest was hinting at that the other night that no one's really turned in the Money in the Bank for for a chance at the Intercontinental title. And he was kind of, he got in Gunther's face and he's like, what if I cash this in on you? Send your Money in the Bank. I think that match would be entertaining as hell. And it'd be kind of cool to see, like, kind of like this groundbreaking, like, history of someone cashing in for the Intercontinental title. And I think that kind of adds, kind of like a prestige to the Intercontinental Championship as well. So I think that would, that would be pretty cool. Um, the the second match that I'm obviously super excited about is it was a tie between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns and The Rock versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Because there's so many storyline developments that could happen that can kind of propel or unfold per se if this tag team match, like whatever happens during this tag team match. And I think I said on an earlier podcast that like, what if Seth Rollins kind of uses this as like a chance to like turn heel again, where he turns his back on Cody, and because then they've had like animosity in the back in the past, but I don't know. I think it would be entertaining and psyched to kind of see that and to see like but then again, like what if The Rock does something where it screws over Roman, so then they get in a fight and they get in a nice little little tanglement. Or maybe something personal happens between The Rock and Seth Rollins where they go at it. And I don't know. It's just so many opportunities. And I just hope that it just goes really, really well because this match, I guarantee this match, everybody's looking forward to it. Night one, this match, night two, could totally change the scope of night two. This is like a bloodline rules match if Cody doesn't win, which is, obviously pretty bad for Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes putting a lot of trust in his partner Seth Rollins because this is Cody's shot. This is his only shot. He doesn't get another shot after this. If you think about it, he's been just so close, itching and itching and itching. He had that feud with Brock Lesnar. He had that feud with Shinsuke Nakamura, where he was always that one step closer to challenging Roman again. Something always like brought him down, and I that's something that I don't know. Cody better win. Cody. This is his last chance. I don't think they're going to, take another year for him to try to fight for the match at the WrestleMania 41, where he has to win a third Royal Rumble. I don't think that, right now it's kind of to the point where, like, I think Cody's going to win because I just don't see any other, I don't know, I just don't see the rest making sense, to be honest. But hey, that's me, Once again, thank you for tuning into the Wrestling Laureate podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Remember, if you're not really wrestling savvy, you can check out a baseball, basketball, football podcast instead. We also have like kind of like a sports podcast where it covers all the major headlines with my boy TJ. We also have the Andrew Tate show. Make sure you catch up on that. And guys, we have a little bit of everything here at the GSMC Podcasting Network. So, your entertainment capital of the world here. And once again, I just want to reiterate that your support means a lot to us. Leave some positive feedback. We love peace, love, and positivity. Also, please remember to do your best Roman Reigns impression and Superman punch that like and subscribe button. Also, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Once again, thank you guys so much, and hope you all have a phenomenal day.
I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work. Mm-hmm. 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 Wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't that great.